Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hello and welcome to Share Talk. I am Bonnie Hughes. Today we're interviewing Kavango Resources. They are targeting discoveries of world-class base metal and platinum group metals in Botswana. They have been listed on the standard list since July of 2018. And here to tell us all about their company and the prospects for their projects is Michael Foster, Chief Executive Officer. Hello, Michael.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, thank you. And Mike Moles, Non-Executive Director. Hello, Mike.
Hi.
So what was your rationale and objective in choosing to explore in Botswana?
Okay, well, I think I'll answer that because I started up the company with a colleague of mine called Hilary Gumbo. And we liked Botswana a lot, and we decided to target Botswana. And after some initial research, we became quite fascinated by this magnetic anomaly which appeared in the southwestern part of Botswana, which has been called the Kalahari Suture Zone. And we managed to get hold of some drill core, which had been drilled into the Suture Zone about 30 years ago, which had been well preserved by the Botswana government. And when we examined that and we tested the core, we thought that this thing looked very similar to one of the world's biggest mines called the Norilsk copper nickel palladium mine, which is in Siberia. And a lot of the things about Norilsk appeared to be the same as what we were looking at on the Kalahari Suture Zone, which we call now the KSZ. And, well, to cut a long story short, we realized that this thing was huge. It was 450 kilometers long by 50 kilometers wide. And we knew fairly quickly that we didn't have the financial resources in our own pockets to do justice to the exploration which was necessary. And so we contacted Mike Foster and his guys in London about the possibility of listing the company. And he agreed to join us, and we listed the company nearly 2 years ago now. And so really that was the initial goal, was to raise enough money to do a thorough job on exploring the possibility that this anomaly was similar to the Norilsk copper nickel deposit. I should say, of course, the other important goal was to make ourselves a bit of money because we don't do this purely for the fun of it, although sometimes it is fun.
Well, that sounds like a very good reason to go into Botswana. Size potential is something the market always looks at. And having some historical drill core to follow up on is also very helpful. But can you give our shareholders sort of an overview of what Botswana is like to work in as a country?
Okay, I'll take that one. Botswana is ranked ahead of a lot of European countries in terms of the ease of doing business. And it's certainly number one, possibly number two in the whole of Africa. So the jurisdiction, it's a stable government. It's democratically elected. They have elections. The rule of law sort of is independent. It has a history of mining. The Botswana government and De Beers have a very successful joint venture together, which has been going on for something like 50 years. So mining is one of the critical businesses in Botswana, and we report to the Ministry of Mines. The Department of Mines is very organized. Applying for licenses and things is a very easy process. there is zero corruption in the country. And the records in Botswana, Mike alluded to analysing some core that had been done previously. The records in the country are first class. And for example, there was a core shed about 100 kilometres from where we operate that has got sort of records of core stacked in a core shed going back 50 years. And you can go here, it's all transparent. It's very easy to go in there and look at the core and relog it. The same, the geological survey in Labatsi has got a similar sort of records with all boreholes, water boreholes done in the country. You can access all of these and relog them. So the availability of information is a really, really key part of what people like us are going there and re-looking at and remapping a completely a part of the country that's completely covered in sand. So the jurisdiction is really, really first class. On top of that, you've got infrastructure that is first class as well. You know, where we operate, there's internet, there's good transport on asphalt roads. In the capital, you've got international banks, you've got international accountants, etc., etc. So it is by far the best jurisdiction in Africa. And having operated in something like 30 countries in Africa, I'm very happy to be in Botswana.
So the Kalahari Suture Zone, or the KSZ, that seems to be your main focus. You've done some geophysics on the project. What are your next steps to build up that project?
Look, we did, I think, about 4,000 line kilometers of airborne EM, surveying from a helicopter, which has, the problem with the Kalahari Suture Zone is that it's all covered in Kalahari sand. So they're varying depths, but in places it's down to 70 plus meters. You can't see any of the rocks. And that, of course, makes it very difficult to do exploration. So most of the exploration has to be done from remote sources, from airborne surveys, and of course drilling, and also from ground geophysical surveys. So the search for the massive sulfide deposits, which we believe are contained within this deposit, requires us to do a lot of this sort of remote work. Now that we've completed most of the airborne work, we are planning to do, first of all, we're going to do a computer-generated model of what we've been able to identify. And then later in the year, hopefully, depending on how long the lockdowns go on, we will, or at least the plan is to carry out some ground, very large, what they call very large loop, low frequency electromagnetic surveys, which we believe should be able to identify massive sulfide deposits down to a depth of 300 to 400 meters vertical depths. So that's really the plan.
And you have the cash to move the project forward on these exploration plans for this year?
We have enough money to keep going for the rest of the year, yes. But I guess at some stage, if we get into a sort of big drilling program, we're going to need either to raise more money or we may take on a joint venture partner or some other corporate deal which will allow us to continue to move the project forward.
And what is management's ownership currently in the company?
The board, which is Mike, myself, and Douglas Wright, who's chairman, and two senior managers, the CFO and the exploration director in Botswana. Together we have 27, 28% of the company. So we're well motivated to make a success.
And what are the best reasons for shareholders to invest in your company, considering you're still at an early stage, but of course there's higher risk, higher reward? So what is the key benefits to investing in your company?
I think number one is we've got a really excellent team of people who are working on the project and in the company. We've got a very functional board, a very democratic board, actually. I don't think I've ever worked in a company that is so democratic. Often you work in companies where there's a sort of a big man who sort of tells everybody else what to do. We as a board and as a group, we all sit down and discuss things in a very democratic way, which is a great pleasure. The other thing is that we've got within the team, we've got a huge amount of experience. Mike and I have been operating in Southern Africa for well over 30 years. We've done it all. We've worked in virtually every country in Southern Africa and a lot in West Africa as well. We've been as a team. We've worked on a number of projects which have been very successful, and we've made a lot of money for our shareholders over the years. So I think we have a very good track record. I think the other thing is that we're very lean company. We have always tried our best to ensure that 80% of all the money that we raise goes into the ground in terms of geological exploration. And by and large, we've been able to stick to that. It's sometimes been quite difficult. But at the moment, none of us are taking any salaries. We're all doing this with very little reward, because we want to ensure that the money that we get is directed in the right direction. And then I think the third thing is that we have a really excellent portfolio of projects. We've got the Kalahari Suture Zone, of course, which we've talked about. There was a spin-off from the KAV.L project, which is called Ditau, which is actually two licenses which contain 10 quite important-looking ring structures, which we believe are carbonatites. And carbonatites are the major source of rare earth minerals, which are very much in demand these days, because the rare earth minerals are a major component of electric vehicle manufacturing and battery manufacturing. And we've recently joint ventured that out to another company. So we're going 50-50 with that company, so that we can direct more of our resources onto the KAV. And we've also recently started up, we're developing a portfolio on the Kalahari Copper Belt, which is not very far away from the KAV project. It's about 200 miles to the north. And we recognize that the Copper Belt is a major new area of copper discoveries. And copper is very much a metal in great demand at the moment. And so we are putting together this portfolio of licenses. We've already got 2 of our own licenses. We've got a joint venture which is bringing in another 2 licenses, which we have the possibility of acquiring up to 90% interest in those licenses. And we're in discussions with other companies about the possibility of joint venturing or taking on other licenses. We'd like to get to about 8 or 9 licenses, which would give us a very nice position on the Kalahari Copper Belt. So I think those are the 3 main reasons.
So the investor news flow that investors can expect going forward would be potential new prospecting license, some more sort of news on geophysics. Is there anything else that investors can expect going forward?
Well, we're always looking for opportunities. Although we are very much focused on the projects that we have at the moment, in this business, you need to keep flexible, and you need to keep your eyes open. And if new opportunities come up that look exciting, you need to be in a position to take advantage of them. So, sometimes people may be a bit surprised if we suddenly come up with something new and exciting. But we hope that if we do that, our shareholders will stick with us. And I think that by and large, we have a very loyal group of shareholders who have done just that.
Well, thank you very much, Michael and Mike, for joining us on Share Talk and giving us an overview of your company. And we hope to hear some more news and see you again.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.